Hello, FlossTube Stitchers. You almost didn't see me today. A few days ago, I wasn't really sure I was going to have enough to talk about, and I'm also feeling a little bit under the weather. I had some symptoms that started the day before I got my first vaccination, so I'm glad it happened beforehand, or I might have thought that it was a weird complication of getting the vaccine, but it wasn't. So anyway, somehow I think I pulled enough together today. We didn't get a whole lot of product this week, but we did have two automatics, and the first was from Heartstring Samplery. These first two are both patriotic, and I believe they were from the same retreat last year because the original release date says June 2020 on both of them. This is called A Plant of Rapid Growth, and it's a quote by George Washington. And I love that it's patriotic, but it doesn't scream it. Like I think you could put this out with other samplers or leave it out all year, that sort of thing. Well, you know, I have rooms in my house that are patriotic anyway, so I don't need an excuse. This was stitched on 32 Heartland from Picture This Plus, using 3 different companies of overdyed fibers. And then the second patriotic one is Liberty Pin Drum and Needleberries. There's a second berry that's not shown on the front cover. And you get the full alphabet so you can personalize the top. And this was done on 36 Heartland from Picture This Plus. And I don't know if you can see the pins at the top. I thought I had ordered them in plenty of time, but they did not come this week, but I am getting those. And let's see, both of those patterns were 12. Then, number 5 in the Sunday Stitches is Oh, the Deep, Deep Love of Jesus. And I thought I would read you, if you don't mind, what Beth wrote about the lyrics. The lyrics for Oh, the Deep, Deep Love of Jesus were written in 1875 by Samuel Trevor Francis. The words are set to a Welsh hymn tune composed by Thomas John Williams. As a child, Francis enjoyed reading and writing poetry and developed a passion for music, joining the church choir at the age of 9. As a young man, however, he struggled with sadness and loneliness. One night as he walked across London's Hungerford Bridge, he came very close to attempting suicide by jumping into the Thames. Instead, he had a transformational experience that reaffirmed his faith that very night over the dark waters of the river. I don't know how much time passed before he wrote this hymn, but its lyrics sing of the deep waves of love underneath me, all around me. I can't help but feel that this comforting description of God's love is in direct contrast to what he would have experienced had he jumped into the river, and that it may have been a direct outpouring of thankfulness that his life was changed that night. Francis went on to become a merchant, but his real passion was hymn writing and open-air preaching, which were both part of his life until he died in 1925 at the age of 92. So I'm really enjoying this series so far, especially the research that she's done into the hymns. And every week I'm getting new people added to my list, and I'm increasing my auto. So I appreciate your support of this series. Then we got an auto from Stitching with the Housewives. They have a new series called Calendar Crates, and this is July. There's 2 designs in here. It was done on black 28 count even weave, $10. Then another patriotic one is red, white, and bantam, also done on black. And all 3 of these designs have finishing props, materials, whatever you want to call it, from Hobby Lobby. And the directions for finishing can be found on her blog, and the numbers for the items are always found on the back of the chart. The last one was How Does Your Garden Grow? And this was stitched on a piece of fabric that they dyed and then coffee dyed themselves. All right. Then we have two new models on loan from Marlene. This is Delivering Wine Grapes from Homespun Elegance. And I don't know if you can see the little bit of sparkle on the fabric. It's a little more lavenderish in person. It's kind of fading out a little bit on screen here, I feel. And this could possibly have been a fabric from a trunk show that we had a few years ago from Black Cauldron Dye Works, which I'm not sure that company is still in business. But anyway, it's really cute in her Delivering series. And then the second one from Marlene is from Lila's Studio, and it's called Halloween Quaker. We already had her Holiday Quaker, which is the Christmas one. And this was stitched on 32 Murky Lugana from Picture This Plus. There are so many cute little designs in here that you could do other things with. You could make ornaments out of them or smaller pictures. It's a really fun piece. And I know I've mentioned this before, but for anyone who's new, Halloween is Marlene's favorite thing to stitch because it's her birthday. Okay. Then I thought, I don't really know if I have anything else to talk about, and I went and looked at a list that I started in my notes on my iPad about possible topics for FlossTube, and I found one that I wrote probably 2 years ago that said, do a product commercial for the Gentle Art Simply Wool. And I thought, oh, okay, I haven't talked about that yet. It doesn't really have anything to do with what else we're talking about today, but it is a different fiber that we haven't talked about. And so I decided I was going to do that yesterday. And I swear, not 10 minutes later, a local customer, Eileen S., walked into the shop and said, hey, Shelley, do you carry the Gentle Art Simply Wool? And I just started laughing. And I'm like, yep, that's what I'm going to talk about. So I have a little video that I'm going to insert that shows the colors that I have in stock right now. But first, I'm just going to talk about it a little bit. Okay, little snafu with my hand hitting the iPad as I was reaching for something. So let's start this over. I'm going to show you the wool next to the cotton of the same color. So I chose Midnight, and you can see how close it is. This is the cotton, and that's the wool. And I tried to do some research for you besides just what was written on their website, and basically I found that everyone was just copying that information. I didn't find any reviews or any suggestions for how to use it specifically. I did notice one person said it reminded her of Medici. So I have a skein of black Medici. It's the only color we have left. I don't really order it anymore. It's not used that much for cross stitch, I guess. And I believe it's a little bit thicker. So I don't think it's what it's dyed over. And if I asked the Gentle Art, do you think they would tell me what they dyed over? Probably not. People keep those kinds of facts to themselves for trade secrets. So I don't know if they would even tell me what they dyed over. But I thought I would also show you how it compares to some other wool fibers that we carry. And these two happen to be from Rainbow Gallery. So Whisper, which is used a lot in cross stitch because it's thin enough to be done on various counts of fabric, is obviously much fuzzier, and I believe it's a little thinner. And then the Petite Alpaca seems to be about the same thickness, but it just has a different look to it, a different twist. It seems like the same width, but it seems denser, if that makes any sense. So it's kind of in the middle of those two. And then I thought I would just read you what it says on the back. So they're 2-yard pre-cut lengths, and there's 10 yards per skein for $3.50. They call it color fast and light fast. It's a wool blend, and it gives you washing instructions in case that's necessary. And I thought last night I would stitch you up a little comparison between the cotton and the wool. And I've tried showing this really close and it just gets blurry. So I think that's about as close as I can get before we lose all definition. So the top is a 10 by 10 block of oatmeal in sampler threads, and the bottom is a 10 by 10 square of the simply wool. So you can see that it covers the same, even though it's only one strand. And this is 32 Sage Joblin, so I wanted to show you that it did cover 32 without being too thick. And of course it would work well with 28 as well, or the two corresponding Adas. So now I will put in a little video showing the colors that I have, which isn't the full line. I think I had maybe 50 colors in stock, and I think they have like 85 or 86 colors. So I'll put that in now. So here are the colors I currently have in stock of Simply Wool from the Gentle Art. It is a 1-ply blended twist fiber that I believe they started making back in 2007. They started off with 20 colors and obviously have expanded since then. It can be used for cross stitch, obviously, primitive surface embroidery, needlepoint, wool applique, red work or black work, and even punch needle. And you can imagine the most obvious thing to stitch would be animal fur, bunny tails, Santa's beard. You could do clothing if you wanted it to look more like wool. You could do an expanse of grass on a picture if you wanted some textural difference. So let me know if you've used it in any interesting way, and I will share your comments in a future video. Okay, and then I almost didn't have a finish this week, I swear, through no fault of my own, but this is Silver Creek Sampler's free chart from quarantine last year called Kindness Always Matters. And really all I had left to stitch was the 2020 in the blue pet bed right there. And then I had to do the light gray in the cat. So first I want to talk about the 2020. Even though I didn't even start it until this year for Freebie February, and I obviously just finished it, I decided to leave 2020 there because to me it represents the time of quarantine, not necessarily the date that I stitched it. Does that make sense? But I also thought, because it's only like 1 or 2 shades off of what it's around, it's really subtle, so it doesn't stand out that crazy. And I thought that would be a good way to put your initials or the date in other things. Just choose a color slightly darker than what's around it. So I was thinking maybe, you know, one of those houses that's just mile after mile of the same color stitching, or a hill, or the sky, just anything that has a broad area of solid color stitching. That's a way that you could sneak your initials or the date in there. So I didn't have 415, which is the light gray. So I stitched the dark gray and then I just left that for last. And I figured it would be quicker for me to go to one of the local chain stores than to order the DMC for myself. Plus, I don't really order DMC anymore. There's only a few lines that I carry that I think are better colors than the Sullivan's match. And at one point we had 7 chain stores in the area. We might still have that many because one closed and two closed and one opened, I think. But people were not buying DMC from me, so I needed the space for something else. So I don't really carry it anymore. So I figured, well, I'll just go to the store, and I won't say which one, but I went to one of the local chain stores, and I came home with 414 again, which is the dark gray, which I already had. And I thought, shoot, I must have just had 414 on the brain, even though I thought I had a list. And I tried to find another grade that might work, and I thought, no, that's silly. I'm just going to go get the right one. So a couple days later, I took another list of DMC with me to the same chain store, and I came home with 414 again. What is going on, people? So I figured out that what happened was somebody had stocked the wrong bin. So each time I reached in for 415, it was filled with 414. So 3 times the charm. I went a third time, got 415, and finished that. So that's my story. See, stupid things happen to me as well. Isn't that crazy? All right, I guess that's it for today. It's a little bit shorter one. Plus, the sun is coming in at a weird angle right now. So this is about time to stop filming. And thanks for watching. I appreciate all the new viewers. I appreciate the people that come into the store, either local or those traveling through on vacation or doing a road trip, that say, hey, I know you from FlossTube. It's just so fun for me to meet people that have been watching me, and now I can put a name to a face. And I'm not going to call you out by name because I know I'll forget somebody. But anyway, it's been really fun to meet people. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye. So let me, oh.